How was the first week of Abi Yisrael? Good, bad, challenging? What were some of we're just getting warmed up? Did everybody achieve the goals they set for themselves, at least for the first week? Show of hands. Good, good. I see a few hands. All right. And so with that being said, we're going to get into today's sermon, and it's going to be relying upon week 2 of Abi Yisrael, which is Qadist, right? We're going to talk about the story, and I want everybody to keep remembering the title for today's sermon is what? Testing God. And we're going to get into what that means in a little bit. But before we get into that, let's talk about what Qadis stands for. What this week, what we're commemorating, right? Qadis means holy, right? And by the way, I will go back and forth with anybody. The name Qadis is not spelled with a K. It should be spelled with a Q, right? Because it's not Qadist, it's Qadist. So same thing with the Qalabs. Y'all spelling your name wrong. It's spelled, it's Al-Qidans. All you K people is spelled with a Q. But that's a different conversation for a different day. So today, the story of Qadist is found in Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 through 11. And my brother Iyuel last week touched up on it a little bit. This is when after Jesus went to fast for 40 days and 40 nights, the devil came to test him. The devil came to tempt him, right? And that's where we got our lesson today, which is testing God. The devil, he came up to him after Jesus Christ has been fasting 40 days, 40 nights, and after fasting 40 days, 40 nights, you'll be hungry, right? Imagine, like, it's not, Christ didn't fast the fast we fast. He fasted without no food, no drinks. Are you guys with me? So he was hungry. What does the devil say come up to him? He comes up to him and asks him, if you're the Son of God, command these stones to become bread. Can we lower the volume a little bit? Because I think I'm loud, and then with the mic it's more loud. Wait, can you guys hear me in the back? Hold up. Patience. Patience. Can you guys hear me now? People, you guys can hear me. People in the back. We're good? All right, perfect. All right, so he goes up to Jesus and asks him, if you are the Son of God, command these stones to become bread. And Jesus responds to him and says, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Okay, the devil says, you know what? All right, I have another thing for you. He took him up to the holy city. He said, if you're the Son of God, throw yourself down, right? And the angels will catch you. Basically, you go to the top of the city, you fall down, and trust. If you're the Son of God, God will bring you up. Right? Are you guys with me so far? And then what does Jesus say? He says, it is written again, you shall not tempt the Lord your God. Okay, the devil says, one more, right, for the books. The third final temptation that Christ faced was, he went up high to the mountains and he showed him all the kingdoms of the world, the earth that he's on. Because, you know, the devil rules this world, the sinful world that we live in. And he says, I will give you all of this if you fall down and worship me. Right? And mind you, he's saying this to Christ. And Jesus said to him, away with you, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only you shall serve. All right? So that is what we are going to get into today. And these are the 3 different ways the devil tried to tempt Jesus, right? And the responses that he gave. And these are some things I want you to keep in mind. When we're talking about the week that we're in, which is Qadist, there's a reoccurring theme. We're going to talk about preparation, relationships, and patience, right? 4 things to keep in mind. With the first one being a reoccurring theme. From the answers that God kept giving, what was the reoccurring theme? Somebody say it out loud. It is written, right? And we can go back and check it. If you look at the first temptation, he comes up to him, command these stones to become bread. Christ says, it is written, right? Second temptation, he asks him, the angels will save you if you fall down. What does Christ say? He starts it out by saying, it is written. And the third temptation, he says, away with you, Satan, it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only you should serve. So the reoccurring theme, it is written. Is everybody with me? It is written. So in all the stuff that we're going through, especially temptations, this week is a week of temptations. The answers to our temptations, it is written. Where's it written, guys? Is it on Instagram? Is it on Twitter? Is it in the textbooks that you get at school? Where is it written? The Bible that God has provided us, right? So, and this is something to keep in mind. Anytime you're struggling with temptations, dealing with anxiety, uncertainty, self-love, any problem that you think you can come across, the answer is written. It's been given to you, to everything that you may face in your life. Are you guys with me? So take this week to definitely make sure that you guys read the Bible. And if you don't believe me, I did a little fact check to Jesus when he said it was written. These are the verses that he said, found in the Old Testament in the book of Deuteronomy. Yeah, found in the book of Deuteronomy. So you guys can fact check even if you don't believe me, but I did the fact checking for you. So you guys have heard when you said, you're not alone, God is with you, right? Anytime you go through something, they're telling you, you're not alone, God is with you. So there's two means of that, right? One, when somebody's telling you God is with you, it is one of his natures. It is one of his natures. That means he's omnipresent. He's present everywhere at all times. So that means God is present here. God is present out there. God is present when you're by yourself. God is present when you're with your friends. God is present there because it's one of his natures. But the second thing, when they're telling you God is with you, is the written word, and that's the Bible. So if you are feeling like God is not with you, if you're feeling like you're by yourself or God has turned his back on you, that is false because he has given you the answers in which his presence lies in. You guys know what an SOP is, right? For people that work, standard operating procedure. So usually for those that don't know, that's literally basically a standing document that tells you how to do certain things. Especially if you're a new employee, you get a whole bunch of these on how to do certain processes, programs, or if you're building something, you usually have to build this with it so that the next person that comes after you knows how to use it. That's what the Bible is for us. That is our standing operating procedure. Think of it as a manual, right? Nowadays, whenever you order furniture, whenever you order something, what? It comes in pieces, right? Because they want you to do all the work. It comes in little pieces, and then what do they give you? A manual, instructions on how to put things together. You can't just, I've never seen somebody just wake up and say, you know what? I ordered a table. Let me put this table without reading the instructions. You don't know which side goes where. You don't know where the Allen key goes. You don't know how to assemble the things. You need the instructions. Correct? Similarly, the Bible is our manual. The Bible is our instruction. When we break down, when we malfunction, like if your iPhone breaks down, where do you take it? Apple, right? Hopefully you have Apple Care. If not, well, you got to take it to the little kiosks that the Abisha people have. Pay $50 and they fix it for you, right? But you go to somebody that usually Apple is a reliable source. They fix it for you because they are the creators. They know how that machine works. So if we're malfunctioning, if we're struggling with things, who's our creator? God, right? And he has left the instructions for us. So we need to utilize it. When we feel like God's presence is not near, it is not us, and Kalab said this that last time, it is not us that has turned, it is not God that has turned his back on us, it is us that have turned our backs on God. Keep that in mind. God is always waiting for you with open arms. Keep that in mind. Now we're getting to how we're testing God, right? We talked about how the devil was testing God. We showed you 3 different ways that how he tested him after he was fasting. Everybody with me? Right? Now, when I said this, the way it came about is because last week I was at STSA and I was listening to a sermon Father Timothy was giving, and he was talking about how to prepare for Lent, right? How to prepare for Abba Yitzhak, the Great Lent. And I was in, and everything he was saying, it was making sense. He was like, you got to give up, if your plate is full, there's no way you can make room for God. I was like, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. I got to start taking stuff away that would distract me from God. He was saying things like, spending time on your phone. I was like, you know what? I do spend a lot of time on my phone. I'm going to decrease my screen time. He's talking about listening to like worldly music, watching TV shows. I'm like, even though those things don't help me, I still do them. I'm going to make sure that I decrease my time on those as well. And then when he really hit me, and I had a like, whoa, slow down there moment, he was like, even with sports. I said, wait a minute. What do you mean sports? There's no sin in sports. This is literally a pure thing. You watch men and women, whatever, compete, and you have a blast. And you guys know I'm a sports fanatic, so I spend a lot of time on sports. But when he said that, I was a little reluctant. I said, no, Father Timothy, that's not a sin. You say, you take your other stuff, take the other stuff away from me, but don't take my sports. And then I got to thinking, I was like, wow, it's got to a point where I'm kind of willing to spend more time on sports than God. So that's where the title comes out from, Are We Testing God? When I say, are we testing him, I'm talking about we're going to take a look at different scenarios, different aspects in our life, even those don't seem that bad. And it's going to get very real, because when I was writing this, I was like, wow. Well, it was a tough sermon for me even to think about, because I had to do a lot of self-evaluation. So this sermon is as much for me that it is for you guys. So it is for us to make sure, even, the key word is even, the good things that don't seem that bad, are those pulling us away from God? That's what we're going to focus on today, because on 1 Peter chapter 5 through 5:8, it says, be alert and sober of mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Right? So that means the enemy, the devil, is always around looking to strike. You guys know, like, you've seen those National Geographic videos, like the lions, the leopards, whatever. They're waiting. Just when the time happens, boom, they strike. They get the gazelle, whatever, the zebra, whatever animal they're preying after, right? The same way the devil is lurking. He's waiting around just to strike on us, unless we stay vigilant. The first thing we're going to look at when we're talking about is preparation. Again, most of the time when I write these sermons or even talk amongst friends, I like to share my personal experience. We're going to talk about preparation in a sense, how do we prepare things for God, and how do we prepare things when it comes to worldly things. And I literally thought about this last Sunday. What was last Sunday? What was last Sunday? Zohrada, also known as Qabala, right? Right? And there's some people that are laughing, because there was some people I was with last week bringing in the fast. And the way we brought it in, we were looking at the time, we were like, oh, it's almost midnight. Woo, Zohrada, like he actually came down. Right? The time is near. That's what we were thinking. We were panicking amongst all the chaos. We ordered 4 or 5 large pizza boxes, right? And it was a lot. And some of us were full, but we kept eating it. I'll regret this tomorrow. If I don't eat this right now, I'll regret it tomorrow, because I'm not going to be able to, because it's fasting season, right? So this begs the question, how do we prepare for worldly things compared to godly things? Are you guys with me? When it comes to godly things, last week, I will admit to you guys, I'll admit to everybody watching live too, what we committed, it was gluttony. We ate more than we should have. We were even with the worldly music, some of us had a goal of giving up music, right? Okay, let's get all the Afrobeats in right now. Before midnight, let's listen to everything, right? Because we're not listening to music after. Let's get all the pizza, all the cheese, all the wings in before fasting starts, right? That's how we do it. Is that truly preparing for fasting? Now let's flip the other side. How do we prepare for worldly events? I think I said preparing for a party, right? And you can say this, preparing for a party, preparing for a meeting, whatever, but let's just use party for an example. What do? You dress to the nines, you go get your cut, you put on a dress, you put on your colognes right here, rubbing like that, right? Make sure you smell good, make sure you look good, make sure basically when you walk in, people are, oh, okay, he looks good. Okay, she looks good, right? That's how we prepare. Or even a work meeting. You have a work meeting, or you have, for those of you that are in school, a project meeting with your teams. You're getting your notes together, right? Are you guys with me? You get your notes together. You have your data that you pull up. You have the things that you're going to say. You prepare to make sure that you're successful in that meeting. Are you guys with me? That's how we treat worldly things. But when it comes to God, we go the opposite way. In a sense, we try to fit as much worldly and sin stuff before it's time to fast. Instead of prayer, saying, God, get me through this fast. God, let me seclude myself from this world, just like how he did, right? He separated himself from the world. He went to the wilderness. What we do is, we try to squeeze in as much stuff as possible that we're not supposed to do. And that doesn't even go just for fasting. Think about even your drive to church. What kind of mindset are we in? Because you are coming to the house of God. What mindset are you driving to church with? What kind of music are we listening to on the way to church? Or what is in our minds? What are we listening to? Who are we talking to? Or are we just calming down and say, God, I'm on my way to your house. Open up my heart. I'll even take it one step further for those of us that come for the 1:30. How many of us, before coming in, Tessalmen, we go and do a little prayer and then come up? How many of us truly prepare to listen to the Word of God? And that's what I mean when I'm saying we're testing God. You see, God, the devil tested him by saying, if you do this, you will show me that you're God. If you worship me, I'll make you the kings of all these things. But for us, we're kind of testing God's patience. Like, how far is God really willing to go? Because we tend to favor and tend to put more effort in the worldly things than the godly things. And again, these things are not, the key thing that I want to emphasize today is what? Even in the good things that we do. And we get into a little bit more depth as we go. So in preparing ourselves spiritually, mentally to spend time with God, we must fully be present and receptive to his guidance and presence. So it's not something you just do willy-nilly. This is not a task that it's a great thing that you guys are doing, but it needs to be done with mindfulness. It's a wonderful thing that you're here. But why are you here? And it's questions like this we should ask ourselves, because in Psalms 119:15 it says, I meditate on your precepts and consider your ways. It's talking about the commandments. We sit and think about your commandments, and then we consider how we want us to do things. That's how one truly prepares. So we got the first one was what? Preparation. On how to prepare when we're about to embark on a journey with God. Whether that be, especially now, mind you, this is the season of Lent, and more than that, this is the week of Holy. It means Qaddas, meaning this is how we fight our temptations. I think you guys have heard over and over about the bad temptations that we face. The sexual desires, the drinking, the partying, the lying, all of that, I feel like you guys have gotten it down, and your conscience truly knows what's good and what's not good. But we need to be vigilant of the good things that can take us away from God. Are you guys with me? Now, when I'm talking about relationship, we're going to talk about three aspects in most of our relationship. The first one is time. The second one is knowledge. And the last one is gratitude. So we're going to focus on those three when it comes to the relationships that we have. Are you guys with me? The first time, with relationships, right? Let's talk about romantic relationships. Are you guys with me? What's going on? Oh, you guys see that? Okay. So with relationships, let's talk about romantic relationships when it comes to time. When it comes to time, with a romantic relationship, what do? You go on dates. You go on trips. Phone calls for hours. You hang up. No, you hang up. Huh? No, you hang up. There's texting. Good morning. baby, I love you. And if you want to be intense, you could have done, "Yeni fikir," you know? For some reason, it sounds so much more intense in Amharic. There's I love you and afatrashalo. Wow. It's a big difference. But in relationships, right? We do these things. We spend time because we love the other person, right? Especially, I put this picture up. If you got a guy texting you like this, game over. Just in the next 6 to 8 months, there's a ring with your name on it, right? We spend time because we love the person. We put the effort, right? And let's move forward. Let's talk about and time with friendships. Are you guys with me? Now, keep in mind, the theme is, these are good things. Relationship is a beautiful thing. If you're both striving to be with God, it's a wonderful thing. Friendships, again, beautiful thing. God wants us to have fellowship, friendship. And with your friends, when it comes to time, you have your game nights, you have your gatherings, you go grab food, you genuinely just enjoy each other's company. You tell stories, you laugh, you have arguments about stupid things. I think this is mainly for guys. I think every guy in here has that one group chat. It's just guys, and it's just either sports or like a really stupid conversation about a really stupid thing. I vouch for that because I have like 3 of those group chats. What is it? This week, there was a tweet going around saying, there's something to think about. It's like, if you had, 10,000 rats, 15 wolves, 5 bears, 4 grizzly bears, 5 lions, whatever, right? You pick 2 to defend you, and then the others attack you. Which one would you choose? Bro, I spent an entire afternoon defending that the 10,000 rats would not suffice. That's how I spend my time with my friends. Right? But that's friendship. That's how I pass time, right? For the sake of being, because I love my friends, these are somewhat engaging conversations. We spend time doing things like this. Again, not bad things. But how does that compare how we spend time with God? Right? And the follow-up to that is, how respectful are we of our time with God compared to other aspects of our life? The first time, how does that compare to us, how we spend time with God? I should really rephrase this as to genuinely ask, how much time do we spend with God? Again, with the romantic relationship, it's good. Go on dates, see your girl, see your man. Wonderful thing. Enjoy each other's company. The friends, bro, like these are your boys, these are your girls that you grew up with. Of course, you're going to want to spend time with them. But is this at the risk of spending time with God? And this one, the second one really hurt me to even think about. How respectful are we of our time with God when compared to our other aspects of our life? And this was, now I'm sharing my story with you. How the question that hurt me the most is being late to work and being late to church. If I'm late to work, bro, I'm panicking. I'm texting my supervisor, yo, the train is running late. I'll make up the hour. I'll do this project. I'll stay after. My bad. I feel bad. You wake up late for Kadase. I'll make a timber. I'll make the sermon. Or I'll come to YOTC 1:30. And even to that, we have some latecomers. I was really hoping somebody would walk in and gotcha as I was saying this. How respectful are we with our time with God? From the relationship, I think, a true gentleman, right? If he's on a date, what does he not check? His phone, right? His phone is face down. But baby, my time is with you. It's you and me. It's just mano y wumano, right? Yeah. Right? It's just us two. I'm fully submerged in everything that you're saying. You have my whole attention. How many of us can stay off our phones during church? How many of us can't wait to respond to that text when we are at church on God's time? Even with the other things, like I said, deadlines and incomplete tasks. If you have a deadline for work, bro, you're spazzing, you're working overtime that you probably won't even get paid for, right? You're trying to make sure you submit everything so that, I did it. I have this to present. Why are we not that urgent with our confession? Why are we not that urgent to receive salvation? for repentance, for prayer. We're willing to work 8 hours out of the day, but refuse to give 30 minutes to God. Again, this is what I mean when I'm telling you guys, we're testing God. The test, usually he's the one that's testing us, but I think we're giving some pushback this time around. Because we're testing him and say, I'm calling your bluff, God. How patient are you willing to be with me? Is that a way to treat our God? And speaking of times, there's 3 ways, right, we could improve how we spend time with God. The first one, I said it earlier, is one-on-one time. You have your one-on-one with your boyfriend and girlfriends, right? You have your one-on-one with your friends that you truly care about when you're going through some things. Or even if you just want to catch up, let's go grab dinner. You say, let's go grab dinner. And then you have your one-on-one. You get those deep talks, you know? Or you go on a long trip. Some of those best talks be on the car rides. I don't know if it's just me, but you have those one-on-ones. Those one-on-ones are needed with God as well. Look at Matthew 6:6. It says, but when you pray, go into your room, close the door, pray to your Father who's unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. It's good to pray communally, right? It's good to pray the way we're doing right now. This is a wonderful means of worship. But you need your one-on-one. That's the difference between going on group dates or hanging out in a big group and then going on a date by yourself. Just you and your boyfriend or girlfriend, or you and just like your best friend. You guys need that solo time to just talk about, be free, right? Because group dates, going out on group events, whatever, is fun, but it's not as intimate. You don't get to fully be yourself. The same thing here. This is a wonderful thing, but we need that one-on-one time with God. And that's only done through prayer. The second one, and what did I mention earlier? What was the reoccurring theme on when Jesus was tested? I'm sorry? It is written, right? So I'm going to throw a lot of verses at you that are solutions to prove to you that it is indeed written. For the second thing is reading and studying the Bible. We already mentioned this, but yet another verse is said on 2 Timothy 3:16-17 says, all scripture is God-breathed and useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness, so that the servant of God may thoroughly be equipped for every good work. This tells you that everything you need to know is there for you to be fully equipped to be a good Christian. And the last one, this kind of goes into with their friends, is fellowship. Meaning befriend somebody that's walking the same path as you. So that it's a little easier for you to pray to God if they're walking the same path as you. It's a little easier for you to have these conversations about God, meaning dedicating more time to God, right? Because right now we're saying we have our friends, but that takes away time from God. Right? Or we're spending too much time with our friends that we're not spending with God. So, why not have your friends be on the same path as you so all of you can, sit around and talk about God? Wonderful fellowship, it says, and let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds. Not giving up meeting together. You see that? He said, don't give up meeting together, but with the same habit doing it, encourage one another. So instead of meeting up just doing, the stupid things that we talked about earlier, you can meet up in fellowship, read the Word of God, pray together, and get closer and build your spiritual life. So now we concluded 2 things. The first one was what? How we should prepare. The second one was relationships, and specific to relationship, which one was it? Time. Now, we're still on relationships. We're going to talk about knowledge. Knowledge meaning, what do you know? Let's look at the worldly things. Again, I'm comparing things that are not sins in this world to see how that can kind of pull us away from God. Are you guys with me? I'm not saying go quit your job and come at me because you're on your own. I can't help you financially there. But when it comes to work or school, we are dedicated. We work 8 hours a week. For school, I think it's even more. You go learn, you have your projects, you have your assignments, you have all these things to make sure whatever you're majoring in or whatever work that you do, you perfect that craft. And I'm assuming everybody is here is just a straight A student. Right? Yep. Yeah? Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we take our time to perfect whatever it is that we're doing, whether it's work or school, whichever one relates to you, so that we can get good tests, right? Good grade on tests, or with your job at the end of the year when you get your annual review, so you can get that the percentage bonus, whatever perks that your job comes up with. We work hard for those things, right? Knowledge, because we know what our craft is, we expect a certain reward for it. Second thing, with relationships and friendships. Bro, you know, like for the people that are closest to you, if you're in a relationship or just your close personal circle of friends, you know their birthdays, anniversaries, you know like what cheers them up, what makes them happy, what makes them sad, their favorite activity, their favorite food. You know all these things about your friends or the people that you're in a relationship with, if you're in a relationship with. It's okay if you're not. I'm not either. Right? We know all these things. Are you guys with me? But how well do we know our God compared to our jobs, friends, families, and significant others? And again, this was a tough question I had to ask myself. Last week there was, this week God was really speaking to me because he was coming at me with sports a lot. There was a video, and it was meant to be like a funny video on Instagram. And it was talking about like, oh, you know, LeBron James broke the record, and they call him King James, right? You know King James, the Bible version. And like, he broke the stats of like 38,000 points, but how many stats do we know about Jesus? I was like, dang. I can go toe-to-toe for anybody that comes at me with LeBron James stats. I've had like 2-3 hour arguments about why LeBron is better than Jordan. You come at me with Steph Curry, I'll pull up I don't even need my phone. I just know it. 4 times MVP finals champion. He has like 4,000 threes, whatever. Whatever you want to come at me, like I know those things because I spend a lot of time watching it. But again, when it comes to God, it was a tough pill for me to swallow. Again, watching basketball, watching sports, not a bad thing. But I had to ask myself, am I really standing and admitting to myself that I know more about LeBron James and Steph Curry than I do about my God? And this may be, the LeBron and Curry may not relate to you, but it's something for you. It may be TV shows, it may be movies, it may be music. You may know an entire album bar for bar, but you may not know, Mazmur. Ask ourselves, what do we have a lot of knowledge of? And I've said this before in previous teachings. Can we truly say we love a God that we know nothing about? Right? The whole process, like even in dating and in friendships, right? Like you know that person. You take the time to know them. You make efforts, you plan things, you sit down, you talk, you get to know that person, and then you grow to love them. And I just can't pick up, oh, that girl, I love her, that's my wife. It doesn't work that way. But I feel like that's all we do with God. We have the faith. We say we love God, but we're not willing to do the work. It's similarly, that's my God, I love him, that's it. And I'm going to leave it at that. How can you claim you love a God that you don't know? In Jeremiah 9, verses 23 to 24, it says, "This is what the Lord said. Let not the wise boast of their wisdom, or the strongest boast of their strength, and the rich boast of their riches. Let the one who boast about this, that they have an understanding to know me, that I am the Lord who exercises kindness, justice, righteousness on earth. For these things I delight, declares the Lord." It's telling you, if you're going to boast, if you're going to be prideful, right? Instead, let the wisdom, they can't boast about their wisdom. Don't listen to them. The people that are strong, macho man, their strength means nothing. The people that got money, riches, think a lot of us, what we work for, that means nothing. If you're going to boast, if you're going to take pride in something, it said take pride in knowing me. That's what the Lord tells us. Are you guys with me? So it is important, again, to make sure that we know our God. And the last thing is, with the relationships we talked about, is gratitude. Again, we're going to go back to the worldly side, right? Your friends, your relationship, your work, whatever. We say thank you, right? We give them physical hugs. We give them gifts. Like even like in thought. Let's say like your boyfriend got you flowers out of the blue. It's going to be in your mind. He thought about me today. He got me flowers. That's going to be in your mind all day. You're going to be so thankful, I have such a good man. Or the girl gets you something that you like, Jordans or something, whatever a guy is like. We're simple, right? No, we are. Trust me. We're not a complicated species, right? You get it, oh man, baby, you thought of me this morning and got me this. All these things, it lingers in your mind. You're so thankful, right? Now do we gratitude when it comes to God? Do we truly give God the gratitude that he deserves? He gives us the gift of waking up every morning, right? I think that for everyone, that may be something that's trivial. Even if you pray about it, I think when you pray about it, you're just saying it for the sake of saying it. I say that because I struggle with it, and I'm hoping you guys struggle with it as well. I'm not by myself. Right? When we give thanks, it's part of like the routine for me, especially. It's like, thank you, God, you have gotten me through the night. Thank you for getting me through the night. Just the same way you've gotten me through the night, help me get through the day. I don't think you guys understand how strong that is. Like just getting through the day okay is not a small feat that we can just accomplish by ourselves. Do we truly give God the gratitude that he deserves? When somebody gives you a gift, you run to them and you give them a thank you. Oh, I needed this ticket. I like these shoes. I love these flowers. Whatever it is, whatever your niche is. But when we get something from God, do we physically go thank him in his house, in his home? Or is this just a Sunday activity that we knock down every now and then? And the last thing is, do we give gifts to God? If somebody got you a gift for your birthday, I don't like getting gifts for my birthday because now I'm obligated to get them a gift on their birthday, right? I'll just be like, just wish me a happy birthday. Let's have fun with that. Because if you get me a gift on my birthday, now I feel terrible if I don't get you a gift on your birthday. And there's a lot of people to give birthdays into, especially February. I don't know why, but a lot of people I know, February is bazabbing. It's a lot. I had to attend a lot of birthdays. It was every year in February, there's an unexpected dent in my wallet because people just decided to be born on those days. Right? But similarly, when God gives us a gift, do we give him a gift back? And I'm talking in the sense of just, when I say gift, I'm not like just giving us his time. And moreover, just giving money. Right? We're so willing to give money to humans, but we're so reluctant to give it to God. Why is that? When it comes to giving money, it's like, listen, you're my boy. It's like, I got you. You get the next one. Or pass it forward. But when it comes to giving it to God, and I don't mean just giving it to church. I'm talking about when you see somebody struggling on the streets. For those of you that drive, how many stop signs have you stopped at or red lights have you stopped at and people came to the left side of your window with a sign saying, help me, I need food? And how many of us have just drove past them? Because God has given you that gift for you to be able to have a roof over your head, for you to be able to sit down and drive a car, but we can't spare a couple of dollars for somebody that has nothing? Again, these are not bad things, But it's things that to keep mindful, so that the earlier verse that I said, that because the devil is waiting around to pounce, and he catches you at your weakest, not at your strength. And this may, for me at least, it was a lot of my weaknesses come from the blind side. And the stuff that I don't consider bad is the one that's taking me away. Are you guys with me? And with gratitude, and this is what we literally just prayed, by the way. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever. Give thanks to the gods of gods. His love endures forever. Give thanks to the Lord of lords. His love endures forever. This is telling you that gratitude is something that we owe God. If it's difficult for us to accept a birthday gift and not give one back, it should be difficult for us to receive God's gifts and not give anything in return. It should weigh a little bit on our minds. Are you guys with me? And the last thing, patience. Now, show of hand, if you believe you're patient. No, show of hands. No, take pride in it. No. If you believe you're patient, show of hands. Thank you. This is a good amount. Everybody that has your hand down, you are a liar, because I believe every one of you is patient. Right? At least in a worldly sense we are. What do I mean by that? Again, in the worldly sense. Just bear with me here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. It may just apply to me. We go to school for 12 years. That's patience. After you finish those 12 years, you go to school for 4 more years. 5 in my case. There was some mix-up in the way the credits were transferred, but I'm here nonetheless. That's patience. And then there's the overachievers. After you get 1 degree, you said, 1 degree is not enough. I must get higher. You go to school for 2 more years. That's patience. You work 80 hours every 2 weeks to receive a paycheck. That's patience. You work so hard to make sure you get that bonus that you've been yearning for. That's patience. Now let's flip it a little bit when it comes to, I didn't even mention about relationships and friendships. Friendships takes a lot of patience. It does. Relationships, that takes a lot of patience. Forget the successful ones, even the ones that I failed. That requires patience. Sitting down and getting to know somebody over months, that's patience. Right? So again, I ask, who here is patient? I should see a lot more hands going up. Yep. Every one of y'all. Y'all patient. But patient in one regards. Why is it that we don't grant the same patience to God that we grant to the worldly things? Even in your friends, there's sometimes, like one of your close friends, there's like an ick that they have. They're like, that's just who he is. You just let it be. You let her go. It's fine. That's how she is. You live with it. It's fine. Because you know them. But when it comes to God, we want answers now. We want to answer them right away. Why is this happening to me? Why are these things? Why are we not patient with God? Even when we're struggling for the things that we chose, like school, you're struggling, right? Finals happen, like you're stressed out, whatever. God, why are you doing this to me? Instead of blaming the school that is giving you 18,000 assignments to do in a matter of 2 days, we say, God, I need your help, and I need your help right now. And if you look at Psalms 27, verse 14, it says, wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. We have got to be patient with God. And I say this because I think most of us, we trust our judgment over His. Meaning, if something doesn't happen the way I want it to, that means that's the wrong way it's done. If something doesn't happen according to my timeline, then it doesn't happen. I know I felt that way. When I found out that I wasn't graduating in 4 years, whoo, I was like, God, you failed me. In reality, I failed me. We've got to be patient with God because we're so patient with other things. But we're patient for the wrong things. I don't even want to say wrong things. I want us to be I want us to give God the same patience that we give the worldly things. That's what I'll say. Because there's nothing wrong going to school for 12 years and then getting your undergrad. Anything above undergrad, I have something to say, but I'll keep that to myself. You overachievers. You're making us look bad. I'm tired of having that conversation with my dad that I'm not getting my master's in B. Right? But we were patient for that long, to work that hard, because there's a reward. You get that degree, you get that job. Imagine if you worked 4 years, if you went to school for 4 years, right, to get a little piece of paper saying you are Bachelor of Science and blah, 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 Bachelor of Liberal Arts and blah, 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 right? And then you go get a job, you work hard, and you to get what, like a 10, 15%? Oh, that's being generous. You get a 10%, 15% raise. You're doing a lot of things. But in a sense, whatever raise you get or whatever promotion that you get, you work hard for that because you know what the result is. Now, what is the result of being patient with God? And how long should we wait for that? If we're putting it in time terms, right? For a bachelor, we waited 4 years. Right? Master's, 2 years. We're that patient just for the education aspect. And let's say you work in the field for 5 to 7 years and you're up the corporate ladder, you're in the senior level, whatnot. You're patient for those years. Because that's the price. That's the price that comes with it. What's the price of being patient with God? It's eternal life with Him. You think that's something that we can achieve in 5 to 7 years? No. That is a lifetime type of thing. So we have to be patient for the rest of our lives with God. And trust me, it's not a one-way street because He's been very patient with us. But again, there we go again, testing. We're testing God. So keep that in mind. And homework, before I wrap up. Actually, before I get to the homework, let's go over the things that we discussed. We discussed 4 things. The first thing, actually, what week is it? Qaddis, means holy, right? We talked about how Jesus was tempted and all that good stuff. The first thing we talked about was preparation. Second thing, relationships. In relationships, there were 3 parts. What was it? Time, knowledge, gratitude. And the third thing we talked about? Patience. And then, that was it, right? Yeah, patience. Yeah, I'll be forgetting. That when I ask you guys, is to make sure I didn't forget anything. But the homework I think you all gave us a homework last week, but this week, the homework for us is think of the different ways that you are testing God. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. The bad things, I think that's a given. We should not do those. We know those. But the good things that pull us away without knowledge is what I want us to focus on this week. And what are some practical daily habits that you can develop to prepare yourself to being with God, bettering your relationship with God, and being patient with God? Is that fair? All right, that is my time. Wasbahat Lexabir.